Welcome, everyone. You can be so proud to be here. I honor you. I promise today to deliver a lot of value in a short amount of time, and everything I share is actionable. So grab a pen and paper. If you're watching the recording, say hi in the comments. What brought you here? And I promise I reply to all the comments. This workshop will go too fast for you to action all the questions I have. So please pause and write down your answers whenever it feels aligned for you. I am aware that it's going too fast for you to keep up, but it's designed so that it's really easy for you to watch over and over again and to practice. So before I go any further, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm delivering this webinar from, the Gimoy, Walubara, Yidinji, and Yaraganji people. I live in beautiful Cairns. I feel extremely privileged, and I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. So this workshop series, this is number 5 of 6 sessions, and it is between 15 and 30 minutes is what I said, but it's more towards 30 minutes with all the content. It's bite-sized insights into how to improve your health and your well-being, and everything is actionable. So they're all things that you can practice. Everything is built so that it can be tailored to your own unique needs as well. They are ultimately my coaching programs in a nutshell. So I give you the basics or the foundation of my coaching programs, and then you can go and do a lot of self-coaching and reflection on yourself. Grab a pen and a notebook. I hope that you have one that's dedicated to this series that you can keep reflecting on and coming back to. And the recordings are on my website and on YouTube. Of course, if you're here, you found them. Today's session outcomes are first to understand self-care as a way for you to sustain and boost your energy. And when I talk about energy, I talk about, yes, the physical energy, but also your mood. Are you in is positive energy around you or negative energy? I also want you to find how you can function at your best. So people talk about productivity. I don't talk about productivity in terms of ticking a lot of boxes, but you're just functioning well, okay? You feel alive. I want you to find the methods that work for you because you're unique, and I'll show you how to find the methods that work for you. So often if we talk about the common self-care, we often talk about grooming, so like having our nails done, our hair. So, you know, when people say she needs a bit of self-care, so it's how we look and things like that. We talk about comfort food in terms of I deserve this. That's sort of self-care. Maybe having a sleep in the morning could be your part of your self-care. Going in nature, going to a yoga class, getting a massage. So there's no right or wrong, but in some instances, these methods sometimes are not serving us. They're more like self-sabotage, and sometimes they're not accessible for us because they require time and money, which not everyone has or can free up right now. The real self-care and the self-care that I'm going to talk about today has been proven to reduce stress, to improve your emotional health and your stability in your emotions, and also to increase your productivity, so your stamina. It also safeguards your mental and your physical health. So the real self-care does, and that's sustainable. So it's for the long term. So for those of you who work really hard, those self-care methods, when you find the right ones, they can help you avoid burnout. What is self-care? Self-care is found in your habits, in your routines. It's found in your rewards, which we don't do very often, but if you do something well, you're proud of yourself. How do you reward yourself? That's based in self-care, or that can be based in self-care. Ways to unwind as well, when you know that you're heightened. How do you unwind? So it can include comfort food and things like that as well. So think of when you have like a really stressful day, how you start, how you end your day. When you're bored, what do you do when you're bored? What do you do when you're upset? What do you do when you want to reward yourself? How do you look after your body? So your daily hygiene, your sleep hygiene. How do you relax? How do you nourish your body, your mind? So all of these can be based in self-care, but you are unique. So there's no right or wrong. And I'll give you a couple examples. So if you've had a really stressful day at work and you get home and you order pizza and you grab the ice cream and you have pizza and ice cream and you watch Netflix and you get up 3 hours later and you say, yes, I feel amazing. This is exactly what I needed. Well, that was based in self-care. Okay. You go to bed, you sleep, you're fine the day after. It did the trick. But if you get up and you're like, oh, I feel so sick, and then you can't sleep, and also there's a pile of crap in the kitchen, well, that was not self-care. If you go get a massage and you feel amazing after, then that was self-care. But if the whole time you get the massage, your jaw clench, you hear your phone buzzing in your handbag, and you keep thinking, oh my gosh, like I can't believe like all the pile of emails I'm going to have when I get out of here. Well, that's no go. That's not self-care in that moment. I do. So hang on to your judgment. Meal planning for me is self-care, because if I don't have the meals of the week, every day in the afternoon, I'm like, like it's a struggle. I'm like, what now? What are we going to have? Oh, I forgot to plan on that. Meal planning for me is self-care because it takes, 30 minutes. I design all my meals, I do my click and collect, and then I'm done for the week. So ultimately, self-care, the real self-care, is just to be on your own side. So I hope you get a little bit of the gist of what self-care is. But right now, just brain dump, and that's where you can pause the recording. I would like you to list under each other. So just a very quick list of the self-care methods that you indulge in. So it can be anything. So don't just go for the good or the bad, or just don't censor yourself. Just list under each other what the self-care habits that you have. Okay. Think of habits, think of rewards, think of what you do to unwind, to de-stress, right? Pause the recording, list them all under each other. So once this is done, I want you to have a look at them, and just with a lot of compassion and not being hard on yourself, just have a look at them. Are they real self-care? So the attributes of real self-care are two things. They will maintain or improve your energy. And again, when we talk about energy, we talk about physical energy, the being awake, but we also talk about physical energy in terms of how we feel. So am I feeling better by the end of that self-care? And the other component of true self-care is it preserves the well-being of your future self. So I like to do a little happy dance. It's like, is your future self doing a happy dance watching you do this thing? Or are you putting her or him in trouble? So have a look at the list of what you've put there. And again, it might be different from one day to another. Okay. For example, lots of people, napping is part of their self-care. If you nap to avoid problems, to turn off and to avoid, and then you wake up and you're like, well, the problem's still there, isn't it? And also like you've procrastinated, you haven't finished your exam, so you've avoided it, but it didn't progress, and you're beating up on yourself, then nap in those instances is not self-care, okay? Because your future self is in trouble now. But if some other days you go for a nap and you put an alarm and you wake up after 30 minutes and then you do what you had to do, then that's based in self-care. Okay, so the tip here is to really it's self-awareness. It's knowing yourself, and to go like, today self-care looks like this. So go back to your list, and for each of these, just think about it. When I do this, does it boost my energy or maintain my energy? And is my future self doing a happy dance? So pause the recording and have a little reflection on these. Once this is done, and welcome back, I want to very briefly introduce Dr. Pooja Lakshmin. She released the book Real Self-Care last year in 2023. You can get it in audiobook everywhere. Real Self-Care. Her name is Pooja. Lakshmin is Lakshim. And she talks about true self-care or real self-care in terms of 4 pillars, I guess. The first one is values. So do you, when you spend time doing those self-care activities, does it support what you value, what really matters to you? So if you value health, or if one of your core values is health, when you have the cupcake because you're sad, does it support your health, for example? That's a very simple example, but then that's not self-care for you because you value health. The second pillar is self-compassion. So there's a lot of research now into how we're so hard on ourselves. We're like, come on, push through, and you should do better, you should be better, and just beat up on ourselves. And it's been proven now it doesn't work. Okay, and there's a lot of posts going around going, you've always been hard on yourself and it's never worked. Why do you try being nice to yourself for once? So this is in that essence where self-care is also, like you care for your children, for your dog, for your mom. We're not harsh with them, right? When they do something wrong, we're like, well, that's normal. You're only human. You did your best. So this is also what self-compassion. That's where it comes through as self-care, as a self-care pillar. Pardon me. The third pillar is boundaries. So boundaries with ourselves in the first instance. How do I say no to myself? How do I set limits on how much TV, wine, scrolling, all the things that we do for self-care that actually we're realizing it doesn't serve me? How am I going to set boundaries around myself? And then once we're solid with our own boundaries, then we can go and set boundaries with other people. And I love talking about boundaries. I might do another webinar on this. And please write a comment if you want a workshop or a webinar on boundaries. But boundaries don't have to be necessarily, they don't have to be communicated with people. So even if we set a boundary with our, say, our mother-in-law, and we're like, I don't want her to talk about finance to me anymore because that's none of her business. Okay. And that's not a personal example, by the way. But if we say that, if we decide that, we don't have to tell the mother-in-law, look, I don't want you to talk about finance anymore. We can decide when she talks about finance next time, I'm going to say, I'm not in the mood to have that conversation, so I'm just going to take myself away. Or how about we talk about this instead because I don't want to talk about it. Very different. So you're still setting boundaries with people, but they're things that you change. You don't change them, okay? But you decide how you're going to respond. Moving on. And the fourth pillar is assertiveness. Being assertive means ruling our own life. So Olympic athletes are very good at that. When they feel like their mental health is not in the right place, they'll pull out of the competition. They'll let a lot of people down, but it's just what they do. I was enrolled in a bachelor in allied health, and I realized halfway through, like after my first term, that I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to do a cert for in coaching. And I can't say that it disappointed people, but I made that decision. I was like, this is what serves me. Okay. So self-care is based in those 4 pillars, but read the book. It's really, really good. But these are things you can write down: values, self-compassion, boundaries, and assertiveness. I want you to remember that self-care does not require time and money. Okay, you're starting to get the gist of it. Self-care is how we treat ourselves. It's an attitude. It's caring for ourselves as well. It's the way we talk to ourselves. And it's simply about being 100% on your own side all the time. All the time. It doesn't mean to ignore people, but it means consider yourself in your decisions. Okay, go back to your initial methods that you had listed now, and you have an idea now on whether they boost your energy and whether your future self is doing a happy dance. Now, I would like you to highlight the ones that you want to keep, that you're like, yes, these are good self-care methods, and maybe take notes. Think about, are they linked to your values? Start thinking about, are they preserving my boundaries? And maybe you're starting to get other ideas of things you can do for self-care. And I would like you to start thinking about new methods that you could bring in for self-care. So think about if you've had a really stressful day at work. What else could you do if you found that your self-care methods didn't serve you, for example? What could you do that would be based in self-care when you've had a really tough day? What could you do that would boost your energy and preserve your future self? Think about when you do something really well, when you're proud of yourself, and like we really don't do that enough. We'll tell people, I'm so proud of you. And like it's hard to do it to ourselves. But how can you reward yourself when you do something? And I'll play with your brain here. You can play with self-care like if you've got no energy and you really want to go for a nap, but now you know that napping is sort of self-sabotaging. Maybe your nap can become your reward. So what are you going to do here to preserve your future self or to, continue the project you're on? So are you going to maybe clean the kitchen first and then you're going to have your nap so your future self's happy? Are you going to try and have a cup of tea instead of napping or doing like a invigorating meditation, which I've got plenty of? Actually, I want to record one. That's another thing. Put it in the comment if you would like me to share a meditation that boosts your energy. So you don't have to nap, and you just do that exercise and it boosts your energy. Put that in the comment if you like that. But think of 3 new self-care methods that you could bring in when you've had a crappy day. And maybe you want to start thinking about how you start and how you end your day. This is where self-care is very powerful as well. Do you wake up and you go straight on your phone? Like, there's research on that. Like, a lot of people straight away, they go onto like social media or they read the news or they read their work emails. For most of us, this is not really energizing and positive way to start the day. If you're willing to change this, what else could you do to start your day? So have a think about that. Find 3 new methods, 3 new self-care methods, and please share them in the comments if you want to. Or if you're not sure and you need inspiration, you can chat with me, you can contact me. I'd be more than happy to help you find the new self-care methods that'll work for you. So thank you everyone for being here. I invite you to find an accountability partner, like a self-care partner where you're like, let's do a self-care challenge this week and do at least 3 things a day that boost your energy and your positivity and preserve your future self. And next week on Tuesday, same time, is the last session, which is on how to design lasting habits. So instead of just saying I'm trying to be good and then it falls through, instead of setting resolutions that we forget about, how can we design those lasting habits? It's been so great having you here. Have a beautiful day.